The Illinois legislature passed a, quote, medical aid in dying bill, but the governor's signature is uncertain. Capital News Illinois reports state lawmakers passed a bill last week to legalize medical aid in dying for Illinois adults with terminal illnesses. If signed, the law would allow mentally capable patients to self-administer end-of-life medication. The bill passed the Senate with the minimum necessary votes after an early morning debate over guardrails and moral consequences. It is now in Governor Pritzker's hands to decide whether to sign that bill into law. The governor, who referenced personal experience with end-of-life care when asked about the bill, says he's reviewing the specifics of the legislation.